Well, if you've been living under a rock, you wouldn't know that GoPro basically kind of announced, and they're going to officially announce this on October 8th, the GoPro Hero 4. So what are the specs? What's my reaction to it, or what's the community's reaction to it? Is it going to be something that's good? Is it really the next big thing? What is it? So through the years, the GoPro has gotten better in regards to video. It keeps up with the industry standard and usually goes above and beyond. The one big complaint is there are so many accessories for it in regards to batteries and LCD screens that you got to pay 70 or 80 extra dollars for, and the form factor has always been getting better as well. On a brighter note, you've gotten the first GoPro, which was huge, and then they've just been getting smaller. Right now, I currently own the GoPro 3. It's a really good size. It doesn't have the screen, but for the most part, you're not looking at the screen anyway. So what are they including with this new GoPro 4 that's coming out? Well, looking down at it, it's going to be the main purpose of this, and I guess they kind of did it correctly. The GoPro Hero 4 will contain 4K video. That's the way the market's going. It's still way too much for what people need. A lot of people just need the 1080p that you're going for. But what's great is that when they're doing this, you're going to get more of that frames per second. You're going to get more of that speed and resolution that you need in the higher res market. So apparently the stats are going to be 4K video at 30 frames per second, which is completely perfect, and that's great. So that's going to be on the Black Edition. You usually know that they have a distinction between the Black Edition and the Silver Edition, but it's probably noted that the Silver Edition will have a little above 2K at 50 frames a second. 50 frames, that's all right. It's not huge. 1440 at 80, which is really, really freaking awesome. And then you'll have your 1080 at 120 frames per second. Typically on most DSLRs, you don't even get that at 720p. So that's really, really huge. And then it goes up and down from there, which is great, which is amazing. It's interesting to see that none of them are 240 frames per second, but that's all right. That's down the line. So another big thing that they're doing is that they are probably going to throw on this screen right here. So they're going to actually have a screen on the back. Typically, it's just a black thing where you just put in the battery, and that's it. And it looks like from this picture here, you're going to put it in through maybe one of the side components, for something like that. It does definitely look smaller, which is great, which will feel a little better. Because the thing is, I love carrying the GoPro around, but still in my pocket, it's still a little large. So this looks like it's going to basically control that, and it's going to be, a little more portable. So going down and reading more of the specs, they're saying it's a little more waterproof, up to maybe 15 more feet than it usually is, which is fine, which is great. The thing is, you're still going to need that the floaty pack, so that way if you accidentally drop it in water, it's obviously going to sink. So that's the cool thing. So it's going to have a built-in touchscreen. As I said, I listed all that below. The black cameras usually have the better cameras in regards to the megapixels and the frames per second. So that's essentially what you're going to get if you buy the black, which is always typically $100 more. So keep that in mind. And a lot of they're saying typical accessories that you can get with it, and it's pretty much the exact same thing. So I think it's really, really interesting, but it's even, as I said, I'm kind of using the f-stoppers thing here as a guide, but even what I said earlier, it's kind of interesting. The author notates, why is there no 240 frames per second? That's just something really awesome for slow-mo, especially if you're surfing or skateboarding. That would look really freaking awesome slowed down when you get all that time in between. So, once again, as a photographer, I also kind of agree that, why is there no raw imaging above? I don't know, just in general, because I think that would be a huge thing for a lot of people. You're still getting these JPEG shots, which is great, but it could be so much better. The 12 megapixels is perfectly fine. Once again, I use the Nikon D700 as a DSLR. I'm not comparing the two, I'm just contrasting. That is essentially 12 frames per second. So I don't mind that. It'll have better depth than the 3 that I have, and I get that. But the thing is, actually, this is an interesting thing right here where it says the field of view. I think you're getting one more field of view. Typically, it's closer up and wide, so that way you get more of the fisheye effect. So, is it something hugely different than the 3 Plus. You're getting, I think, 4 or 5, about 6 more megapixels if I'm correctly there. Essentially, it's just going to be a little smaller. You're going to get the back on, but what's going to be interesting is the price, and I feel like them putting on, this LED back touchscreen, it's going to drive it up another $100. So you might be seeing this GoPro Hero 4 for around $600, especially because it has 4K video as well. If it's $500, it's still a little, it's still pushing it. But if it's it's $399.99 for the black edition, I feel like that's not a terrible price. Not something I'm really going to bump up to, as GoPros are really a really specialty form of recording. But if you can justify it, hey, go for it. But they said they're also going to release another $200 edition GoPro. Once again, we don't know what that's going to have, but if that's better than the Hero 3, I might bump up to that, as that's about $200 right now as well. So the GoPro Hero 4, really the only big thing, you get 15 frames per second when you're shooting photos with it, and the photos do typically come out really well, especially on the 3 and the 3 Plus. But obviously the big thing that they're moving to is the integrated touchscreen and the 4K video that they're implementing, and you're getting the 120 frames per second at 1080p. So it's moving along. It's getting smaller. It's getting more portable, even more than what it was. But I think they're trying to do more with attaching to different things, because I think that was an issue before. So what do you guys think? Let me know down below. Are you interested in this GoPro Hero 4? Do you like that it's 4K? What do you think that it's missing? And if you're a GoPro user now, like I am, is this something that's very, very tempting? Let me know down in the comments below. Eric Rossi, the guy with the eye. October 8th, this will be an official announcement. The GoPro Hero 4. Obviously, a couple months after that, they'll roll out the 4 Plus. But, essentially, that'll probably just be small tweaks. Maybe they'll include 240 frames at that point. Who knows? You never know. It's very interesting just interesting. That's all I got. Bye-bye.